Why do you fish? That's a question I have asked myself as well as many anglers over the years of fishing, and it's always the same answer. Not only do we love spending the time on the water and connecting with nature and also doing the sport that we love and are kind of obsessed about, but it's spending time with our family and friends and seeing someone light up when they catch that first fish or eat that first fresh caught meal. There's literally nothing better. And because of that, we really want to save fishing. We want to have the opportunity for our friends and our families to go out on the water and create memories that honestly have been some of the best in my entire life. And today we are going to talk with Mark Riedesel of Fish Northwest. As you all know, we are battling constantly shrinking seasons here in Washington State, and it's not getting any better, and it's probably not going to get any better. And Mark and a group of anglers have taken it upon themselves to actually do something to help our situation. And you're going to learn a little bit more about that today, and as well as ways that you can get involved and get in contact with Mark to find out a bit more about what they do and what they stand for. Hi, my name is Jamie Peth with Anglers Unlimited, where we help you catch more fish and have more fun on the water. Feel free to click the link in the video description and subscribe to our email list, and we'll keep you in the know. So let's jump right into the interview. How did you get involved with Fish Northwest? What is it? Can you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. So in about 2015, I decided I wanted to get more involved with Fish and Wildlife and the salmon resource, kind of specifically around Area 7. And it was geared because I wanted to have an opportunity for my kids as they got older and see if I could give back to the resource. That was my main goal on this. Is like, well, I enjoyed salmon fishing so much in the San Juans. I wanted to kind of do something to give back to the resource so other people had the same opportunities I did, and to kind of help, provide some advice to the department from a local perspective on, enhancing things. So there was an opportunity that arose to apply for an advisory committee with Fish and Wildlife, which was the advisory committee I sit on is Puget Sound Recreational Fisheries Enhancement. We're charged with about $2 million that gets spent every year on enhancing recreational fisheries geared around the saltwater, specifically for salmon. And so I got involved with that, and it's only natural once you're involved with that you pay attention to the North of Falcon process, and season settings and quotas and all that stuff, and it just kind of snowballed from there. It was just a kind of an interest that just never waned, and you're always learning something new, and you quickly realized how complex all of it is, and managing salmon. And it was good. And at that same point in time, I was also the president for the Bellingham chapter of Puget Sound Anglers. And the frustrating component of it is since I've done that over the last 5 years, I've seen opportunity dwindle for us locally. You can say habitat loss, the blob, there's multiple perspectives. So managers not getting along very well in the North of Falcon process. And we kind of got to a point with this year's North of Falcon process where we walked away and went, wow, we've lost 93% of our opportunity to fish for Chinook in just the San Juans, and not only in the San Juans, but lots of other marine areas. And a buddy of mine, Brett Rosen, who owns Highliner Charters and R&R Charters, him and I are pretty close, and we're really involved in all of this stuff. And we walked away from this year's North of Falcon, and both of us were so frustrated. It was like, well, we both felt like we weren't making a difference, almost to a point of like, do we throw in the towel on this? We don't feel like we're being listened to as advisors on these Fish and Wildlife committees. He sits as a sport fish advisor. And, we kind of sat on that for a few days and got back together and said, well, what can we do? I mean, we feel like this avenue we keep reaching a dead end. And the the sharing of the resource it's not necessarily following guidelines, say as the Bolt decision says. We felt like a resource management plan for Chinook and salmon in general was going to have some really unnecessary components in it, with now managing to hatchery stocks such as a stilly, and just we thought, well, what can we do? And so, in talking with George Harris from NMTA, he had spoke about the organization Fish Northwest, which was started, I think, around 2005, if I remember correctly, and had been dormant since at least 2013. It had initially been started to use lobbying techniques and kind of fight for recreational resources and anglers. And we were talking to him about, like, what can we do, and are we at a point where maybe legal action or legal options should be explored? And so what he suggested is, since that organization was dormant but established, we could kind of hand that off to a group of us, and we could move forward and not start from scratch. And we thought that was a good idea. It was a 501c6 at that point in time. It was a good way to transition and get organized. So the board of directors resigned, and Brett took on the president role. I took on the vice president role. A guy named Barry Allen took on the treasurer role. Another guy named Rod Holmes is our secretary, and then Craig Haugen, he's filling in all the gaps for us in between as a board of directors member. So the five of us are all avid Area 7 guys, but we realize that we need to work on opportunity for all anglers in Puget Sound. And so we've got a couple of attorneys working on us and exploring legal options with the focus of, is there an equality of sharing that can be brought back with the Bolt decision? Can we really look hard at this resource management plan before it gets truly signed off and goes into effect? And what are our options in hopefully helping the state acquire their own permit and not riding the coattails of the co-manager permit these last 5 years since the last resource management plan expired. So that's kind of how we got started in Fish Northwest and reinitiated it and getting some advice from other people.
Well, I know every angler I'm in contact with feels the same way of the roller coaster of, should we give up? What can we do? So I think Fish Northwest is this idea that maybe we do have a chance to do something still. And I'd love to know, what exactly is the mission and what would success look like? And do you even know that answer yet?
So yeah, that's a great question. The mission really is opportunity, regaining opportunity for the recreational angler in all of Puget Sound. I mean, we know that we don't have any blackmouth opportunity per se this year. It got completely nixed due to constraining stocks and in our opinion, due to some unnecessary constraints with hatchery returns to the Stilly and Mid-Hood Canal. The mission also included hopefully getting a bunch of organizations together who have had prior differences and set those aside and come together and provide us input and advice to help us kind of vet out solutions to the issues at hand. So our hope was, get organizations like CCA, PSA, NSIA, NMTA, multiple groups who all have really valuable input and components, and get them to come together and provide advice to us, and hopefully list them on our website as advisors. And kind of, they each have components where they can guide us and direct us and give us little pieces of details that make for a better case as we move forward.
So if people are interested in learning more or getting more involved, what's the best way to go about doing that? How can they help?
I would say go to our website. It's fishnorthwest.org. There's multiple pull downs that answer lots of questions. There's some data involved in there. You can see there's a donate button, which is kind of where we're at now. We've hired an attorney. We've actually got one attorney working pro bono, and we've hired another attorney. And money will be a factor at some point. We've been working on generating money, and we're doing quite well at that. But this will be a long haul. This isn't going to be solved within a month or two. This could be stretched out for a year or two, and we realize that. So if people really want to chip in and help, I would say one of the best ways is to donate cash or check or however. Right now, Fish Northwest is a 501c4. We're working on transitioning it to a 501c3 so larger corporations and businesses can receive that tax credit. If they're concerned about that, there is a link to the Friday Harbor Salmon Classic. Jimmy Lawson is we've got an agreement with him where people can donate through that so that they can get the tax credit, and then he ships it, he can do a donation towards Fish Northwest. So there's two options there. If they have any questions, they can email us. There's an email link on there, and we're really good about getting back to them right away to answer any of those specific questions. We seem to get a couple emails every day or so with questions about this or that. So it's kind of a unique thing because it's just 5 average normal fishermen that really like to fish that have come together, and there's no political agenda. There's no tribal bashing. I mean, it's just we're looking for fairness and equality and sharing of the resource, and have an opportunity for all the recreational anglers that enjoy the Puget Sound salmon fishing opportunities.
Awesome. Also, you said you get a lot of questions. I'd love to know what your number one question is, just to put the word out this way as well.
I think the number one question right now is, what's the legal angle you're going after? And the answer is well, right now we're in this discovery phase. So the attorneys are exploring legal options that make the most sense. That's probably our number one question. And then followed up by followed up with the clarity. I think that it's probably the other question is tied with that is the clarity of Fish Northwest. We didn't know this at the time, but apparently Fish Northwest had maybe some prior misconceptions or baggage about they're associated with not being pro-hatchery or pro-hatchery production. And the 5 of us as board members are all about hatchery production and making more fish and get more fish out into our systems and doing it, the best way possible, obviously. But that's an important component to it that we wanted to clarify with people is the 5 of us would love to see, little net pens or broodstock programs or, anything that can help make more salmon, both for orcas and for recreational opportunity and for even for the co-managers to harvest. The more fish that are out there, the better off it is for everybody.
Absolutely. My other question and final question for you is, where can people follow you guys online? And actually, prior to that, I'd like to know, do you have any pulse on how long the discovery phase is likely to go?
Yeah, it's going to be about 4 to 6 weeks. And then we'll have I think in probably about another 4 or 5 weeks, we'll be presented with a plan from the attorneys on best path forward. So that's kind of the timeline on the discovery phase. So it's been this whirlwind of activity for the 5 of us of contacting anglers and getting a web page set up and doing all these components and pieces, and now we've hit this point where it's like, okay, we've done that. We're going to continue to talk to people, and now we're in this kind of social conversation phase while we wait for the attorneys to to present something back to us.
Great. Well, we'll be definitely looking forward to hearing how that shakes out in a few weeks. So is there anything else people should do as far as following you guys online to kind of track this process and progress?
I would say follow the website. Barry does a fantastic job of updating it, and you know, updating sponsors and donors and the advisor group. I mean, the website, he does a good job. It gets updated and changes probably once a week, or even, you know, for a while there was daily. We were adding stuff on there, and that'll be the best way to follow along and find up-to-date information is fishnorthwest.org.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure to drop that link down below this video. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And it's been very insightful to learn both about your businesses as well as Fish Northwest.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the time.
Well, and thank you for all the hard work you're doing. Oh my gosh.
Well, I think, you know, it's not just me, but, you know, the other guys on the board of directors they've got a lot of time and stuff wrapped up into it. And, you know, I think for all of us, it's important to be able to allow people to have a resource and something to go and do. I mean, for me, I really get fixated on kids and children and that next crop of upcoming anglers, as well as a couple of the other guys who have young kids. But holistically, man, there's nothing better than seeing a person that's got a boat and they're just getting started and they're learning how to salmon fish, and I think you've seen this stuff where people's eyes just kind of pop at what's out there, whether it's in the islands or the other parts of Puget Sound. I mean, it's just an amazing experience to be on the water, salmon fishing, and the wildlife, and, you know, the opportunity, just to have the opportunity to go and do that is a really unique feature for Washington State. And it'd be really sad to see that go.
And honestly, it's some of the best memories of my life have been out on the water fishing or catching that first fish. And I can't imagine the future generations not having that opportunity. So this is a really important issue, and we really appreciate your time and willingness to give a conversation about it that we can share with other people and bring awareness.